name is Elissa Ewald. I'm from Roswell, Georgia, and for the last 6 months I was serving outside of Nairobi, Kenya with Divine Providence Training Center. I was first called to Kenya it was my freshman year of college. I've never heard God speak so clearly or so loudly before, but I heard Kenya, which was kind of comical because I'd never been on a mission trip before, I'd never been out of the country before. I remember calling my mom and saying, "Hey Mom, I think the Lord's calling me to go to Kenya," and she was okay at first, and the next day she called me at like 7 o'clock in the morning and said, "I just want to make sure you're not going to make any rash decisions that will ruin your life, like dropping out of college." And so I told her I didn't know when the Lord wanted me to go, and it wasn't probably for another year and a half that even became a reality for me. I ended up getting in contact with a group of ladies that helped start a school for pastors in Kenya. They were working with RUMC at the time, a member of RUMC, but the organization itself was not directly connected. And they just had this dream and this vision that God had given them that to put together this school where pastors in Kenya could receive training, just basic biblical training, pastors that might not have the opportunity otherwise, either for financial reasons or because they don't have the previous education in order to receive training. And so they are running churches and they're leading churches and leading groups of people, but they don't have any of the knowledge to do that, basic knowledge of teaching the Bible and basic skills like counseling and dealing with tribal violence and things like that. So they started this school in Kenya, and I got to go over there this past year and work on the campsite. The long-term goal for the camp is for it to be self-sustainable, and so that's why we created Camp Timmy Timmy, so that the proceeds from the camp can go to supporting the pastors and supporting the school. All of the pastors come on scholarship, and so we don't want for the school to be solely reliant on American donors because, that can change any day and any year with any kind of recession, and we want for there to be a security and a business side of it that can support the school in the long term. And so I got to come alongside, Paul, our director of the school, and help on the campsite and just getting things up and running this year. A lot of projects with teams coming in from the U.S. over the summer, and just even projects getting done on the ground as well. And then working with the pastors and trying to tell their stories. I studied photojournalism in college, and so I love getting to hear people's stories and tell people's stories, and that's what I try to do over my blog and through the blog of the school and the camp as well. And so I got to go and meet these pastors in their communities where they're working currently, because they'll come for 2 weeks of school 4 times a year for 2 years. And so they'll come, they'll learn something, and then they'll go home and apply it. And we think that's more practical for their ministries, for them to be able to learn a skill and then go home and immediately apply it and work on that in their congregations and in their communities. And so I've just gotten to see and hear so many stories of how the Lord is moving and working in their communities and in their lives, and it was just a wonderful experience. And that's what my favorite part is, just getting to share how God is working and moving in Kenya throughout each one of these communities. We've trained now, we're on a 3rd class of pastors, it's 26 pastors in this group, and so we're in over 72 communities, people across Kenya, from literally the very southern part to the very northern part. Getting to share the gospel and seeing how lives are being changed is just my favorite part for sure. So, in May we had a group of students come from Roswell, Georgia, actually from RUMC, and it was part of their youth group. So there were 16 kids and 9 adults total, and we went and did a variety of missions. One of the things we love about being connected with all those pastors is that we have all these communities that we can work with, and we can have teams come in from the U.S. and work alongside them, but we know that once we're gone, that it's not going to change the ministry being done in that community, that there's someone there permanently. And so that's a really great thing for us, because we have that luxury of being able to do short-term missions in a way that isn't going to damage the community or the people in the community. And so these students had the opportunity to go visit one of the orphanages of one of our pastors and her husband, and a bunch of other different things. But my favorite moment was probably the very last day, walked down to the public school, the girls' secondary school in our community in Matasia, and we split up all the kids, and they all went and shadowed a class, and then we all got together in their dining hall, essentially, for the Christian Union meeting. And we shared a little bit and had a lot of questions about, what is America like in here, and what is America like here, and we ended up singing the song 10,000 Reasons. And so we started singing it, thinking, oh, we're going to be performing this, but I I knew that being in Kenya for how long I was at that point, it was about 3.5 months, that song was getting really popular. And so next thing you know, there's 300 girls in this high school singing 10,000 Reasons, singing Bless the Lord, O my soul, along with these 16 students who were just completely astonished and amazed. And that for me was one of those moments where you realize that we really are a global church. So one of the teachers came up at the end, and after we all sang Bless the Lord, O my soul together, and he said, isn't it amazing that, we can have so many things that are different about our cultures that, they had asked us questions about, how do you get to school, to, are you allowed to date, and, everything was so different from what they knew. He said, we can live in such different cultures, and yet we still have this one thing, the Lord and the blood of Jesus Christ, to be the common denominator for all of us and be the same for everyone. And that love automatically makes us brothers and sisters. And so that was just one of those moments that I'm going to look back on and say, that's what it's about. That's why I go to Kenya. That's why I encourage other people to, and that's why I believe in the ministry that we're doing over there, because I know that the Lord changes lives.